Joyce Erb from paperfinesse.com, guest designer for Cut at Home. Today we'll be looking at crafting tips for people with weak hands and how to use tools and actually produce a great looking galaxy using inks. This is a continuation of the video I did on ink sponging and using different sponging tools if you want to watch that. And I'm using the paper that we practiced on, and now I'm just adding more ink. I'm using the color box tool, and on the block there you see dye ink with some glycerin, and I'm using some distress inks now in different colors, and I'm just splotching it on in different random places. And this cardstock that I'm using here is glossy, so it goes on a whole lot easier and smoother, and the distress inks, being a slower drying ink, spreads on easier with a sponging tool. You don't have to worry about the smoothness of the application at this point. Just get the ink on in different places. I know it's going to look like a hot mess here, but I promise you it'll look better. I'm just continuing to add some different colors. Now I'm putting in some purple. I've got a light purple, a dark purple, a bright yellow. I believe it's lemon. I will include a list of the colors I used on the blog, on the Cut at Home blog. Now I'm starting to come in with the black. The black is what starts to pull it all together. I'm starting off the edge of the paper and bringing it in. It's a little easier if you take the paper away and do it on the craft mat. I just don't like the mess. Plus I'm using a glossy, and I'm using a glossy cardstock and also the distress ink, so it blends pretty easily. I'm actually getting it rather smooth here until this next side where I start to get a little impatient. And I've got some lines in my brush marks, but it's all right. I'm going to be adding plenty more ink yet. Slowed the video down a little bit here so you can see the black being added easier. Got a lot of it sped up so that you don't get too bored watching me color here. I fiddle a lot, I fuss a lot with my colors. I just keep adding until it looks good. This is my very first galaxy. I've watched other videos, and all I know is add a bunch of color and cover it with black. And I'm going to make sure that some of the bright colors show through. Here what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning off the brush from the black, and I'm using the dark blue right now. I believe it's Chip Sapphire. And I'm using the Chip Sapphire. I'm coming in just to tone everything down a little bit to start to give the background some depth. Since this is a night sky, it's going to be a pretty dark background overall. It wasn't going on very smoothly, so I got out my re-inker, and I'm going to use the re-inker. But right now I'm adding some of the green just to brighten up some of those areas. The green re-inker is actually mixed with some vegetable glycerin, and the glycerin helps it go on easier and smoother. It helps it blend easier without a lot of work. And you don't need as much as I've got here. I actually made it a little wet. It doesn't hurt anything, but all you need is a drop or two with your ink. You don't have to use it at all. I like it just because it glides easier. And it also thins it out some so that I get a nice light wash, which is what I'm after here. It's still too wet, so I'm soaking it out. I'm just trying to smooth it out right now. As you can see, it's starting to look a little bit like a night sky. A lot of the brush strokes are starting to disappear. I'll be coming back in with some black to start deepening some of those shadows. I'm going to speed it up at this point just so you can see the whole process, but yet not get too bored, I hope. There's no exact science to this. It's just do what looks good to you. I'm just going in and around a lot of my bright colors, deepening the sky around the colored areas. And then I spread thin layers over it to tone it all down. Now I'm bringing in some of the greens and blues and trying to brighten up my areas a little bit again. I like the effect of deepening the shadows with blues as well as black. Once I get this done, I let it air dry. I don't usually blow dry my backgrounds. And there it is. Now we'll add the star effect. That's what really brings the whole piece together. I'm spritzing on some water with my Tim Holtz Distress water sprayer. I let it sit for just a few seconds, and then I dab it off. And my aim isn't so good, so I spray the other corner again. Dab it off, and that gives some nice splotchiness in there. And I'm using that little acrylic block and some Copic white multi-liner that I'm just going to mix with some water. It's a nice opaque white for the stars. So I mix it with water. The video doesn't really, the stars don't show up as much as it does in the still shot because I do put quite a bit of splatters on here. This is a Tim Holtz splatter brush. I'm probably not using it right. I had problems getting it off. I think you're supposed to actually hit it on a paintbrush or something to get it off. So I just used my fingers. It was a mess, but that's all right. I put on a lot of splatters. Let it dry and it's ready to be made into a card. This is the almost finished card. It still needs a sentiment. I'm going to put a Believe die cut. I'm shopping for the die right now in the center of either a white shimmer or a silver glitter. For written instructions is at the Cut at Home blog. And be sure to check out the next video, which is going to be a watercolor galaxy. Don't forget to subscribe to Cut at Home and to Paper Finesse. Have a great day.